Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the podcast for marketers, digital transformation champions, and those of you bringing your skills into the digital age. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke and this podcast is brought to you by Digital Training Institute. This episode is all about rethinking, recharging, and remodelling the busy work and distraction-filled life habits of digital marketers. So, coming up in this episode, in social media news, is Facebook working on developing a phone? Instagram expands API access to social management platforms, and Amazon Spark, the newest social network. I interview the author of Recharge, a 7-day program to improve the quality of your life. Keep listening to find out how to get your free copy. In shoutouts, 3 online resources we can use to help reframe our work-life balance. Ask JSB, in JSB's column, The Battle for Work-Life Balance as a Digital Marketer, and find out what productivity tool saved my working week.
Social media news.
Stop what you're doing right now. It seems Facebook may be working on developing their own smartphone. Business Insider reports that Facebook's filed a patent this month for a modular phone. The patent description filed is as follows: a modular electromechanical device that can incorporate a speaker, microphone, touch display, GPS, and even function as a phone. Business Insider say that the modular device could function as a phone or an Amazon Alexa-like music speaker. According to the patent, which also notes that millions of devices connected to a server could be loaded with different software based on components that are swapped out. Have a look at the blog post associated with this podcast to see the images and the design of the device filed by Facebook to the Patents Office. Marketers have been long frustrated by the fact that they cannot schedule Instagram updates as seamlessly as other social networks. However, this is all about to change with the news that Instagram is expanding its API access to social management platforms. Say yeah. Instagram has announced that it's opening up its API access to approved third-party platforms, which will enable us to track and manage our Instagram presence in many more ways. Instagram said, while businesses have been using insights to view metrics for their content and overall presence on the Instagram app, they'll now be able to access these valuable insights in the Instagram API for the very first time. This will help businesses keep track of their organic content's performance more effectively on third-party tools outside of the Instagram application. This will make our lives a lot easier, don't you think? Or do you think it will actually kill authenticity on the platform? I'd love your thoughts. I've posted on my own Instagram account, JSB Grams, so leave your comment there. Have you heard about the latest social network? It's from Amazon. However, some online commentators are describing it more as a sales platform. But in Amazon's own words, they say, Amazon Spark is a place to discover things from people who share your interests. Whether you're looking for inspiration for home decor or seeking advice for the best long-distance running shoes, Spark makes it easy to discover and shop stories and ideas from a community that like what you like. Find out more at amazon.com/Spark.
Interview.
I had the opportunity during a recent business trip to London to meet Hidde de Vries. He's a digital marketer and a fellow Google trainer. Hidde was running a successful communications and public relations company during the recession when he suffered from burnout. He went on a search to find a way to deal with work stress, but was surprised to see how little he found that would actually help. And so, determined to find an effective way to deal with burnout, he went in search of the antidote. Throughout his career, Hidde has had strong ties to the field of communication and marketing, eventually leading him to starting his own agency. After that, he began working for Google in Dublin. And then he set up another company, 7-Day Recharge, which focuses on helping people find balance between their work and their private lives. Recharge has been described by Elle magazine as a detox program that will teach you how to go Zen through life. Hida has kindly given all of my listeners a free copy of his 7-day recharge book. To get your free copy, simply log on to digitaltraining.ie and find the blog post associated with this podcast. You can read more about his program at recharge5.com.
JSB Talks Digital.
So, Hida, tell us about your own backstory and the moment of truth when your life as an entrepreneur caught up with you.
Well, this was back in 2010. I had my own company in marketing and PR, and we were publishing a magazine. And the beginning of the year actually brought the recession, which made it very hard for us. First of all, people went into online marketing instead of print marketing, so it was very hard to kind of get the budgets in. We had a big sponsor for an event in the end of the year, but it was in the end of the year, so it was really shifting money from bank account to bank account and really working hard to get everything sorted. Eventually we managed, but along the way we went steady towards a bankruptcy. In the end we managed though to pay everybody. The only thing was that I really outdated my resources. I was completely low on energy, no energy at all. I was hardly speakable. So the thing that I was in the crossroads in my life, and there was either applying for a job as a room plant somewhere in an office or maybe go on a world trip. Well, the latter just sounded a little bit more tempting. So I went on a world trip, and during this world trip, I was waiting for a friend of mine in Melbourne underneath a palm tree. Couldn't be better. I didn't have a girlfriend anymore because we broke up because of the hard work that I was doing and the little time I had for her. Me and my best friend used to run the company. So we broke up. We didn't really like each other at that point anymore. My apartment was subletted. So I didn't have a company, didn't have a friend, didn't have a girlfriend. So I'm waiting for my friend on the beach, and he's half an hour late. And I figured, well, even if he doesn't show up, I'm here underneath the palm tree in the sun, who cares? And then I thought back, say half a year ago, and I figured, well, if you would have told me then that someone would have been half an hour late without giving me notice or heads up, and all of a sudden I felt my body starting to tense, and I thought I can give you a call, I can start a project, I can listen to a podcast or whatever. And during this whole train of thoughts, my muscles tensed, my heart started racing, and I noticed for myself that I got into this kind of fight or flight mode. But I'm on a beach in the sun, right? And that made me realize that if that's possible, half a year after the date that I was in this stress mode, that it's so strong, that it's still there. How do people deal with that then when they didn't have that time to actually unwind and be on the beach somewhere, but they're still in that mode? That means that every phone that you get or every email that pops up can give you this fight or flight response. And it's funny, I do a lot of training, and during these trainings I have an exercise by which I have people experience this fight or flight moment, literally in the training altogether. And it gives you this sense of adrenaline, of tension, and there's people that don't even notice it. And then I do a second part after it where I get people to relax, and all of a sudden they notice like, oh shit, now I'm... So I figured like, how can we... there's one thing that's for sure. We're only going to be busier. There's more technology. There's more distractions, digi-distractions, whatsoever. And it's only becoming more and more. If you look at the technological advancements of the last years, it's going up. It's not even a hockey stick anymore. It's just going straight up. And I figured if we're only getting more busy and more people are actually burning out at the moment, where are we going then? And there's things that we know that work, like yoga, meditation, mindfulness, nutrition. So that being said, I was thinking of all these things. How can we make people become more aware and actually have them feel energetic? So still underneath this palm tree, I'm overthinking this, and all of a sudden it came to me like, why not organize a week in which you get a taste of all of it. And you really take people from their, say, conscious everyday patterns and take them and really get them out of their comfort zone and have them experience how good feeling healthy does. So that being said, at that point, my friend actually rocked up, and he's a neuroscientist. So it was a good few beers that we spent and discussing this whole project. And we came up with a program which I tweaked and I worked on. First of all, called the Stress Detox Week, making it very clear, a week in which you detox from your stress. Now you have to think back 2010, when I came back in the Netherlands and started working on this. First of all, it was the recession. So everybody that even mentioned stress would be out the door, fired, and not to come back. So people didn't have this so-called problem of stress. But there was one thing besides the kind of cranky business model that I noticed, and that was that if you want to make this work, the big advantage is if it's scalable.
Yeah.
And I found the only way to do that is to go online. So I started investigating how to do it online, how to set it up, which buttons to push, how do you bring it all together. And I found that if you want to really comprehend and know online, you need to start working in a company and have them pay you to get to know, because it's just, there's so much out there. So I started doing some interviews and then ended up at Google in Dublin, which was amazing. And all of a sudden there was again a crossroad. Okay, I can do this stress detox week, for which nobody's really into, or I can go to Google in Dublin and really start owning this and getting the heck of it. And so I decided, of course, again on the latter and really immersed myself in Google Live. After a year, so the first year was amazing, learned so much, really got a sense of online and online marketing. There was so much to learn. But I came back to the Netherlands to work for Google from Amsterdam. And what I found there is that actually my learning curve had kind of decreased. And I just wanted to learn more and get to know more people and travel, which is all possible within Google. But I came home and then every night I'd come home and just be exhausted. And I figured, okay, if I want to step my life up, this is not going to work. So I thought back of all the things that actually prevent you from getting stressed. And I figured if you turn it around and put it in a positive way, you actually have a very energetic program. And you can make it very positive. Because I also didn't really like the starting point, which is Stress Detox Week, entails that you have stress and that you need to detox. So there's something poisonous in you and you have to clean it out. So we changed it to 7-day recharge, which actually made it a lot more energetic and a lot more something you want to do. So I started collaborating with specialists, a nutritionist, a yoga teacher, a mindfulness trainer, and together we kind of tweaked the program in that way that it really helps you to re-energize in 7 days. So far so good. I'm still working at Google, and I just noticed and found myself doing stupid things like taking lunch behind my desk, be on the phone till late, or even in my bed have the phone next to me. And there's all these temptations that's ongoing. What I found is once I did the 7-day recharge, I'd feel myself for a longer time, continuing some of the things. Not all of them, because there's things that are just not really my cup of tea. And I noticed that other people have their own pick. So one might say, oh, when I wake up, I love to do the 10-minute meditation every day. Whereas other people would say meditation really drives me mad. But the great thing is that over the years that people have been doing it, we've got about 10,000 people now that went through the program, as well as companies now like Google, YouTube, the Cancer Foundation in the Netherlands. And what you see is that people, no matter how involved they get, but they always take something out that really resonates for them. And then people always ask me, yeah, but 7 days, can you really change your life around? There are some people that actually did, because they just experienced this new sense of energy and just changed their life drastically. But normally, like I said, people take this one thing. And then, let's be honest, we have all these seductions in our life and all these temptations, and you're bound to fall back in old behavior. But by doing it more often, you kind of get the sense and the heck of it, and you really incorporate some things in your life that are actually going to help you be more energized, feel better, feel more positive. So that's kind of how it came together. Then I had all the content, and I figured, well, why not put it all together and write a book? So I did my first book, Recharge in 7 days. I was invited to do a TED Talk, which I did half a year later, I think. And then in October last year, I decided, okay, crossroads again. We know the drill. Either I stay at Google and work in this really cool and looked upon company, or I go and start entrepreneuring really and burn my ships and go into the recharge thing. And that's been in October, and it's been going great ever since.
So many of the people that listen to this podcast are digital marketers.
Yeah.
And they're overworked, probably well paid for it, but they have so many digi distractions. Their lives are punctuated by notifications. How do you think your program will help people like me who never switch off, even when I'm asleep?
Well, that's the thing, right? You know what you should do. Do you have a phone next to your bed?
Yes.
Do you look at it first thing in the morning?
Yes.
There's all these easy things that I can tell you that they don't work, and you go like, yeah, I know this. What the program actually does, it gives you I don't know if that's an expression in English, but what we say in Dutch is the stick behind the door. So it actually, it bridges the gap between knowing and doing.
Okay.
So we know what's right, we just don't do it. And the program gives you the reason to actually live by these rules for just a small period of time. So it makes it easier to say, okay, you know what? Tonight I will do it according to the program, and tomorrow and until the program is finished. But that's just long enough to experience how much better you can sleep, that you can wake up before your alarm bell goes off, that you just feel more energized at the end of the day. In 7 days, or in the 5 days that we have for business purposes, we brought it back to 5 days. You will experience energy, and you will experience moments for yourself that you can actually improve upon. Simple things that you can bring to your life that actually help you unwind during your day.
And so will that make digital marketers more productive in the long term if they can carry some of that 7-day program and some of those new habits into their lives? Is that also a way of kind of reverse psychology, convincing ourselves that it's a good thing to do?
Yeah. The big challenge, especially for digital marketers, is that you have digi distractions as your work, right? Your work is creating digi distractions. How am I going to get the attention of someone behind a laptop? How am I going to find someone that they pick up their phone and their time to actually listen to my message? So it's your job. The thing is that if you let yourself immerse in these digi distractions yourself too much, you'll decrease your ability to actually function at your best. So, and it feels, I mean, I know this, the feeling myself. It feels that when you're working and you're like, and I want to check this, and you tell yourself, oh, I'm really excited and I'm digging this, I'm really enjoying it, I want to know more. But if it's all that good, why not give yourself 5 minutes rest every hour, for example, and just unwind for a little bit, and then take the new revised energy and get back into it. Another thing is phone calls. We make the phone calls behind our desk, often even behind our laptop. So we're doing 2 things or 3 things at the same time, which definitely doesn't work. Multitasking is one of the biggest time-consuming and things that we have at the moment. There's research indicating that it takes up 2.5 hours of your time every day, or 2.5 hours of your day, and you can bring it back if you consider that during your day you watch your phone about 150 times. Mm-hmm. Now, once you start on a task and you go on to the next task, it takes about 15 minutes to really get into the flow. Now, imagine if you have a few tasks a day and you have 150 times that you have to watch your mobile phone, and it takes that long to get into a task, why work at all? It's really, we have to learn to work with these digital distractions and this fast pace of living, because you can only imagine that your brain is going to get burned out. Our brain is still the same as 500 million years ago, where our brain started out as the reptile brain, which is the smallest part of your brain, and that actually only knows how to fight, flight, or freeze. That's also the response that you get when you do too much and you what's the word for it?
Complicate?
Yeah, overcome. If you overthink your prefrontal cortex, which is the newest part of your brain, but that actually enables us not to respond in a fight or flight response all the time. But if you overstress that, then it doesn't work in the way it should work, and you kind of get this reptile brain that's taking over. So, in order to perform at your best, you need to give your brain some time off. You need to have it to unwind, just because you make better decisions, better reactions if you give your brain a little time to rest.
You also work really closely with companies. So what do you do for them?
Well, the thing is, the program is set up for the consumer, with the consumer in mind. But we actually set up a lot of training and programs within companies. The thing is, if you do it in a team setup, it even becomes more powerful. The big challenge that you always see when you go into a company, a lot of people will be very excited about it. There's a lot of people that are in doubt. Should I do it? Shouldn't I? And there's always people that hate it straight away, whatever it is that you do. What we do in the companies, we have the first 20%, if you like, the ambassadors, and we really talk towards the middle group. But the fun thing is that we actually include everybody in the program. So we give the book to all the employees, and we have different interventions during the week that includes the whole staff. So actually everybody is excited about joining the program. And even if they're not so much into vitality or they think they don't need to, they still get to experience, can read the book, they can do the program at a later stage. And what we see is that actually a lot of people at first start the program, and then the group just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And companies just do it once every half year, once every quarter. And you just see this whole vitality issue grow to something energetic instead of something people have to do.
What an amazing thing to do for your employees. All about employee well-being and engagement.
Definitely.
So technology is the antithesis, I guess, or perhaps the enemy for digital marketers, but technology must be able to help in some way to help us to relax. What have you found?
Well, definitely. First of all, technology is part of our lives, and technology is facilitating our lives in a big way, right? If you look at your phone, it has more power than your laptop now. Everything that's in your phone actually makes your life easy. It's just you that have to make the decision ongoing. Do I use it or don't I use it? Do I use it for something meaningful or not? And it's amazing how many ways of communication, for example, we have. But do you really need Slack, Hangout, Skype, Messenger, SMS, text? I don't know, you probably know a lot more even than I do, to communicate with people, right? Is that really necessary? So really think of the things that you're doing and become conscious of what you're doing. and have the technology work for you instead of you working for the technology. And I think that's a big difference in how to make the most out of it. All these technologies are great. Use them to your advantage. Don't be used.
That's great advice. So I have committed to taking on your 7-day recharge program. So I'm taking it on as a challenge to see if it can cure me, at least for a week. But also you're offering your ebook to the JSB Talks Digital listeners.
Yeah.
So if they log on to digitaltraining.ie and the blog associated with this podcast, you will be able to download it.
Yeah.
So, Hedda, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I will actually vlog my experience with your recharge program, and I'll let you, the listeners, and my viewers know.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cheers.
JSB Talks Digital.
Don't forget to download your free copy of the 7-day recharge book at digitaltraining.ie.
Shoutouts.
In this part of the show, I give shoutouts to brands, organisations or individuals whose work online is remarkable and worth talking about. In this week's show, I asked Hedda to provide us with 3 resources to help us rebalance our lives.
1.
Hedda has suggested that we check out Simon Sinek and his Golden Circle. The core message here is go back to your bases, or what it is that inherently energizes you.
2.
Hedda suggests recharging during long drives by tuning into a podcast. So if it's not JSB Talks Digital, he suggests for entrepreneurs, read Hoffman.
3.
If you need a quick recharge during long laptop or desktop hours, Hedda suggests taking 5 minutes with guided meditation from the app Headspace. You'll find links to these 3 great resources on the blog post associated with this podcast over at digitaltraining.ie.
Ask JSB.
Ask JSB brings the voices of my listeners onto the show. So now you have an opportunity to ask me a question, have it aired on the podcast, and I will respond. If you want to hear your voice on JSB Talks Digital, simply log on to digitaltraininginstitute.ie/askjsb. Send me your burning digital marketing or social media questions. Today's question is from Bobby, my 7-year-old son, and now a regular contributor to the show.
Mom, why are you always tapping on your computer and always on your phone?
Hey Bobby, and thank you for your question. And I know this is a question that you ask me all the time at home, but it's really relevant to today's show and I really thought that we should include it. First of all, I guess my MacBook Air is my best companion when it comes to work. Lots of people use their phone for work, but because I write long-form content, I use my MacBook Air. I probably spend about 5 to 6 hours a day writing 20,000 words. When it comes to using my smartphone helps me organise my life. I book my train, I pay for my parking, I use Google Maps all the time to try and prevent me from getting lost. I book my hotels, and I also do lots of Google searches when I'm researching new clients. Bobby, I do take your advice, and because of that, I'm going to take the 7-day recharge program, and part of that will involve using my smartphone and using my MacBook less.
JSB's column.
In today's column, I share why I want to work for myself and service myself and my clients in equal measure. So how do you fix the problem of switching off as a digital marketer? There's no doubt that it is a balancing act, being JSB and being Joanne. JSB is the professional me and Joanne is the personal me, if you haven't noticed that already. Well, the secret's clearly out now. I made a conscious decision 9 years ago to work for myself. Just as the recession was making its way across the Atlantic from the United States, I walked out of a €90,000 job. Smart. Well, it wasn't really smart if you consider my timing, but I felt ready and able for the challenge ahead. But what I didn't expect nor could I have prepared for was what was to come down the tracks like a speeding train. They say things always happen in threes. Well, let me tell you about my triple entrepreneurial experience in a 12-week period of my life in 2008 and the beginning of 2009. So, in September, I leave my job and go self-employed. The following month, it's October, and I wake up to Morning Ireland declaring that Ireland is officially in recession. Fast forward to January, and my husband gets ill, seriously ill, and this marks the start of a 3-year journey of sickness for him and caring by me and being the sole breadwinner. And to throw a fourth element into that story, 2 days after Tom goes into hospital, I discover that I'm pregnant with my second child, Bobby. At this stage, Sophie is 13. So it's January 2009. It's dark, it's really bleak, and I've got a new business. I'm pregnant, my husband is in hospital, and Ireland is in the throes of the worst recession in living memory. Great, just great. I can tell you this is one of the reasons I only wore black clothes for 3 years. Not even a pair of red shoes in sight. But while all of this is happening, business must continue. And I can honestly say that when your clients are paying you, they're really not interested in what's happening in your personal life. It's business, remember. So, as I look back on the past 9 years and see how far I've come in my own personal and professional journey, it reminds me that I need to take care of myself and recharge the JSB and the Joanne batteries to enjoy the rest of this ride. So, I'm taking up Hidda's challenge and I'm going to vlog it. Will you do it with me? Tweet me to @tweets by JSB and let's recharge together. Remember, there is only one of you and me, so we need to take care of ourselves.
Social media tool of the week.
The tool that saved my working week this week is a productivity tool. Trello is a brilliant tool to map out your work plan and see the status of projects. It's also great for teams. In their own words, Trello describe themselves as a collaboration tool that organises your projects into boards. In one glance, Trello tells you what's been worked on, who's working on what, and where something is in a process. So how does it work? A Trello board is a list of lists filled with cards used by you and your team. It's a lot more than that though. Trello has everything you need to organise projects of any size. Open a card and you can add comments, upload file attachments, create checklists, add labels, add due dates, and much more. Find out more or take a test drive at Trello.com. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of JSB Talks Digital. To ensure you never miss a show, please subscribe on your smartphone on iTunes or on Stitcher. You can also subscribe on SoundCloud. If you are a regular listener, I'd love if you could take a few minutes to post a review on your podcast platform of choice. As always, I have everything discussed on today's show on my blog at digitaltraining.ie. And don't forget to download your free copy of Hidda's 7-day recharge program and do it with JSB. Don't be a social media stranger. I love feedback, so be sure to tweet me your thoughts to @tweets by JSB. Post a comment on our Facebook page at Digital Training Institute or snap me at JSB Snaps. I'm Joanne Sweeney Burke. This is JSB Talks Digital. Thanks for listening and I'll talk to you soon.